2020, the year I, alongside everyone else, was trapped indoors spending far too much time on the internet. But if one good thing came out of this experience, it introduced me to the wonderful world of OCs, and somehow 6 years later I still have the same very OCs that I made back then, even if they are in a completely different form now. That might be a little misleading considering their entire world and personalities have changed since then, but in general they are pretty much the same OCs. The only character whose name hasn't changed since then is June, even though he has a completely new second name now. I gave no one second names, and actually for a long time none of them had official human names, which is what you'll probably know them as if you've seen any of my animations in the past. And just while I'm on the topic, this isn't animation, this is my first time properly talking on this channel, and I really want to do more videos like this if it goes well, because this is what I've always wanted to do. So while I draw two of the main characters in their 2021 outfits, how about I introduce you to the main cast of Reincarnate? Starting off with Runo Keen, a 21-year-old vigilante, and his partner, June Brandy, another vigilante. These two take the roles of protagonists within the story, and the rest of the supporting cast is Verily Fleur, Crow aka Selin Corvey, and Rhonda Adair. And last but not least, the antagonist Phelan. Like I said, Runo and June are vigilantes, but that doesn't give much information into the background of the world. And it takes place in a world much like our own, where a war wiped out a large majority of the population and left behind mutations in human, animal and plant. In order to gain control of this newfound power, the capital began to discriminate and execute those who had abilities, such that the only ones legally allowed to use such abilities are heroes. But they definitely aren't the only people to use them. Now I think that's a good segue into a vigilante character who's not using his ability legally, but definitely helping people as much as he can. This is Runo Keen, our protagonist and my favourite OC ever. Runo grew up in a really run-down neighbourhood with not a lot of access to food or money, which is why he looks so scrawny. But what he lacks in muscle power he makes up for in his intelligence and ability to adapt to any situation he's seen in. He was taught how to spar with a sword by other kids in the neighbourhood, as a lot of the parents of those other kids had taught them out of fear of the war returning. Now, the main war ended 100 years ago, but it's no secret to those in the city that it's always a gamble between if they're safe or not. Runo met his childhood friend at around age 16, which I know isn't really childhood, but he didn't have many friends growing up. This friend is Verily, who I mentioned earlier. The two actually became quick friends despite their disagreeing stance on heroes. Runo believes that they're power hungry and only looking for money, while Verily admires their ability to care for people around them. But the two spent around 3 years working together as young vigilantes, after Runo saved someone with his ability, despite having no intention to do so in the moment. He would go on to describe that moment as his body moving before he had time to think things over logically. However, all good things come to an end, and Verily left to become a hero in the capital, and Runo was heartbroken by this, and he's never quite gotten over it, even when he found a new vigilante partner in June. I wish I could share more about Runo, but I want to fit everyone into this video, so meet June Brandy, his partner. Now, to clarify before there's any confusion, I'm talking about business partners. Even if I may or may not ship them, I don't intend to make any romance a main plot in the story. It's just not really my thing to write. June is the first capital-born member of the cast. He grew up in a rich family, but spent his entire childhood being relentlessly bullied because of his ability. So this is a good time to mention that not all abilities are like Runo's. They're not illusions, they're not magic, some of them are just simple mutations. Like June, he has scales that cover portions of his body. And the capital still hold prejudice against those with abilities, especially physical like June, so it's no surprise that he was bullied the way he was growing up. But unlike Runo, he always dreamed of becoming a hero and applied time and time again to get into courses to become one. However, due to his mutation, he was rejected over and over again, and eventually turned to vigilantism. I have absolutely no clue if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm not looking it up. Because his choice of work wasn't particularly legal, he was kicked out by his family and forced to leave the capital and move to the ruins. While this initially really stung for June, it ended up being one of the best things to ever happen to him. He met Runo here after being saved because, well, Capital Boy got jumped for his riches. After this, June was determined to befriend Runo, even though the other had absolutely no interest in him, still rather distraught about losing his friendship with Verily. Now, I thought it'd be really fun to mention, Jun is the oldest character of the bunch technically because I made him in 2020 and Reno joined the cast in 2021. But this is Jun's old design and it's absolutely horrific. Don't talk to me about it, I'm so much happier with him now. And next is another character whose old design absolutely haunts me because what is this? It just doesn't read like how she's supposed to read, and I'm allowed to hate in my old art as much as I want. And this is the childhood friend who left Reno with all of his abandonment issues very late. She's actually a really good person besides all of her Reno-related issues that she's caused, because she means well in everything she does. I went over enough of her backstory that you need to know in Reno's section, but she moved to the capital at age 19 to become a hero and successfully did so. She now works with the police in interrogation as her ability lends herself really well to such a topic. She's able to produce a truth serum like smoke, which makes anyone who breathes it in tell the truth. She genuinely loves her job and all the people that she gets to help, but she does want to share it with Reno and tries over and over again to reconnect. Reno is having none of it though, until he is forced to team up with her during the main plot. If it hasn't been clear, I love Verily so much, and I wish I could talk about her more. Okay, I say this so much, but I also really love this character. This is Crow, aka Selin Corvey, who was previously known as False. I've changed his name on multiple occasions because nothing quite fits him. No normal names fit him because he essentially ran away from home at 17. So how does a runaway fit into the story, you ask? Crow was scouted by several hero companies and courses when he was younger due to his impressive ability named Mirror. He can mimic the ability of those he looks at, which would obviously make for a pretty good hero. However, seeing how they reacted to June, he said no to all of his companies and ran away. He cares about June a lot. And onto the final good character in this story, this is Rhonda Adair, a capital performer who essentially works as human propaganda. She's an ability user, but she can't use her ability despite working for the Crown, aka the main governing agency of supernatural abilities. This is why she's there to share propaganda, because she's an ability user who's rich and famous for reasons outside of their ability. And if she can become rich and famous without using it, then people don't need to become heroes to become rich. She is quite literally the opposite of a military campaign. Now, the issue stems from the fact that she disagrees fundamentally with this. She has no issue with the use of abilities and would actually rather see an accepting society that lets ability users flourish, even if the use of rules is needed. So what does she do about this? Well, nothing for a while. Well, that was until she met Crow. The two somehow became quite good friends after meeting accidentally in a bar, and the two agreed that abilities should be allowed to exist without being discriminated against, so they wanted to do what they can to help. Now, that's enough of all of these good people who love each other. It's time for the antagonist. Meet Phelan, one of the hardest characters I've ever had to design. This speed paint doesn't even come close to how much of a struggle I was having coming up with his design. He's existed for many years in many different forms, and I've never liked a single design of his. I do quite like this design, but there's still a lot of room I could have improved on, but he functions as what he's supposed to function as, and he looks good enough for now. He's another member of the cast who grew up in the capital. He specifically grew up among the supernatural agency, the Crown. He met Arcane when he was a really young child and saw the way he was allowed to use his ability freely. So he tried to do the same, and when he was given in trouble and punished for this, he rebelled even harder. The Crown claimed his ability was dangerous and villainous and would only bring about destruction. It's a form of charm speak, kind of inspired by Percy Jackson. They were right. He does use it for bad, but he wouldn't have done so if it wasn't for how he was treated as a child. He grew up thinking the only thing he could possibly become is a villain, someone dangerous who people should fear. So that's exactly what he became. It's my first time making a video like this, and I really want to make more in the future, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. I'd really love to make one about OCUs and fan OCs, or like some of my own experiences as someone who's been on the internet for the past 6 years. So I really hope this goes down well and I get a little bit less scared to do it again, because I'm honestly terrified to post this. I'm not used to talking at length or with people online, and I'm honestly a little bit worried that my accent is going to be a lot stronger than I think it is. So I apologise if you can understand nothing of what I'm saying. But that's all I've got for now, so I'll hopefully see you again in the future. Please enjoy these little animated bloopers I made, because I can't speak for the life of me. We have the main character, no, that's not his name, what the fuck? At the capital, despite the fact that it's... Why can't I talk?